Hey everybody, it's Dave. This is Davenport's on Sports, episode 46.
Yes, thanks for joining us. That was Great White with Big Time off of the album Full Circle. And joining us tonight is the guitarist for Great White. Everybody, welcome in Mark Kendall.
Hey, how you guys doing, man?
Hey, thank you for coming on.
Good to be here. Thanks for playing our music. That's pretty cool, man.
No, we appreciate it. Thank you. Let's get right into it. I would love to know what album or song that made you want to pick up the guitar.
Um, that's a pretty good question. Well, when I was when I was a real little boy, my mom was a singer, and my dad was a jazz trumpet player. So I used to listen to the music a lot. They had music going all the time in the house, and I kind of got into the melody and stuff. But it was actually a neighbor's band that I used to watch through this little side window in their garage, and that's what made me want to play. When I saw them playing and live, the bass player was playing with his teeth and all this stuff, and I was about 9 years old, and I went running home and asked my dad to get me a guitar. The first three albums he got was Cream, an album called Disraeli Gears, and
Oh,
Jimi Hendrix Experience, and The Doors. And I used to sing along with that, but if it had to be one song, the first song I ever learned was called For Your Love by the Yardbirds.
yeah.
But I was playing, like, the first songs I learned was Gloria, Wipeout, Pipeline, and Secret Agent Man.
Nice.
I learned For Your Love, but I had this other guitar player friend, and all those guitar parts there was two parts on almost every song, so we kind of learned them together and went and played for my fourth grade class. So, but my dad got me, the first guitar he got me was a Spanish acoustic just to see if I'd be interested. And I really didn't, I played it almost every day for like a year. And then he got me an electric guitar and an amp. And so I kind of learned from the neighbors, that played guitar, that were more advanced, obviously, than me, and learned chords and stuff. Never
Awesome.
really took a formal lesson except for one when I was about 10. And the stuff he was showing me, I really didn't want to play. I probably should have learned it all, but they were like nursery rhyme, jingles or whatever. And I was already listening to Hendrix, you know what I mean? So I was like, I really don't want to play that. So I kind of learned by ear. I have an ear like my dad. My dad had a real good ear for music, and so it kind of, bled down, if you will.
That's awesome.
Well, we got into what started, your musical career. Uh, this day and age, who do you say your favorite artist or band is in the past 5 years?
Um, there is a new band called Greta Van Fleet that we just played with a couple weeks back that I really like a lot because they all play their instruments. They don't have any machines playing their stuff. It's just three guys with a lead singer, bass player, guitar player, drummer are brothers, I guess, and then they got a lead singer. And you kind of hear the old school riffs in their music and stuff. You might hear a Zeppelin thing or whatever. So I kind of like that because it reminds me of us when we started in the garage. We wasn't so good, and we kind of got better from playing together. So I love that human element when people get together and play instead of a more machine orientated thing that's really, to me, not real in a way. I kind of like when a sound is created by people playing together, so as far as new bands, but I'm still an old schooler, I still like all my old heroes. I still listen to old ZZ Top and Johnny Winter and Deep Purple's earlier music. I still love all that. And a lot of the bands we toured with, like Judas Priest, Scorpions, Whitesnake, and, we've toured with a lot of bands. So I still like to hear their stuff, and, even old stuff like the Animals, I still dig all that. I even had the singer, Eric Burden, over for dinner one night because my wife knows his daughter really well. But my wife is quite a bit younger than me, like 16 years. So she had no clue about what a legend this guy was, And then, like, when he left, I played her the music, and she's going, "Holy God, I know all these songs," I'm going, "Yeah, this is, that was him, honey." I mean, he's telling me stories about Hendrix and, his girlfriend and Hendrix's girlfriend were like best friends, and tell me about when the Beatles and the Animals and the Stones all started. They all just played 1-4-5 blues stuff, not even songwriters. They're just playing Chuck Berry, and you know what I mean? That's the way those three bands started. They kind of started right around the same time. So they were influenced by, the old, black blues music. So it was really, I was thrilled to have that guy in my presence. We even gave him a doggy bag to take with him. It's pretty awesome. So, yeah. I'm an old school guy, but I like to see up and coming bands,
Not to interrupt you real quick, guys, but I called that, didn't I, Brandon, before the show?
I don't know how you did.
I just
you called Greta Van Fleet. I don't know how you did it.
We were going over our questions beforehand, okay? And I was like, I just got a feeling he's going to say Greta Van Fleet. I had something in my gut was telling me.
Well, they're a great new band.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just that's crazy that you said that.
Yeah, it's their music's really good. It's a very new band, and I just like it that they're making their own music and playing hard, and they're doing really good, and they're pretty humble for young lads, and we played with them, and they're really respectful to us, and we took pictures together, and I just like it because they're getting up there, they might be a little out of tune, or maybe they're in tune, it's just, I just love that, it's the same way Metallica started out and us, we came up at the same time, we weren't so good at first, and then we got better, I just like, I'm still a fan of that, I know it's the day the whole world has changed and we have all the modern technology and everybody's staring at their cell phones. But when a band comes up like a Greta Van Fleet, and, you just know they don't email each other their parts, they get in a room and jam, So I don't know. I just dig that. I think it's really cool.
Kind of sticking on like I know you guys have toured Kiss, Whitesnake, Scorpions, Judas Priest. The list goes on for you guys. What band did you have the most fun touring with?
I would say, God, it's really close with all of the bands, but one thing, like Judas Priest and the Scorpions both kind of took us under their wing, and we learned a lot from those guys. Mostly how to treat people, some of that kind of stuff, and how important the time on the stage is, and you know, just things like that. Whitesnake was an awesome memory because, you know, we went platinum on that tour, you know, and also Twisted Sister, our very first gold record, was on that tour. So, you know, every band has like the moment in time, there's something special about it. You know what I mean? Because we're grinding it out. We came out of the backyards and clubs, and now we're playing arenas, and we're meeting our heroes, and we're playing with them. And, you know, we were like all ears, you know.
That's great.
We never thought we were cool. We just said, I'm going to listen to these guys, you know. They're doing something right. And so we learned a lot, enough to be able to, you know, pass it down to up-and-comers now.
So we're talking about you going on the road and everything. I got a question to ask. Why? This could be bad, I guess. I don't know. When you're out on the road, what is your guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure is drinking soda. I've been really trying to cut back on all that. I've been trying to eat right, and you know, I know that sounds kind of corny, but you know, I quit drinking years ago, and I kind of switched to Diet Coke, and just drank it like a crazy man. And so the past couple of years, I've gone vegan, and I'm, you know, treating myself a lot better. But every once in a while, man, I got to fire up a Coke. You know, something about those bubbles.
So you're out on the road, hard and long night, you know, show everything. Yours is you go back to the bus and bust open a Diet Coke.
Yeah. You
Nothing
know, I
wrong
just
with it.
get back in the back and sneak one, you know what I mean? And then if anybody sees me, I go, no, don't tell my wife, man.
Oh, there we go. Hey,
I'm
what
just
happens on the
kidding.
bus
No,
stays on the bus, right? I mean, they can't say you went and drank a Diet Coke, right?
Yeah, no, that's the code of the road, man. It's got to stay out there. It's got to stay out there. You don't bring
Now, I
any of
know on
that
the
stuff
2012
home.
album Elation, you stepped into the role of producer a bit. Did you enjoy that? And have you thought about maybe producing, maybe as like a full-time gig someday?
Not really. I don't like the idea of producing yourself. We did do that record on our own, but I had way more enjoyment on our last album going back to Michael Wagner, who's an icon, who does this for a living, produces bands and records them, you know, sold over 100 million records, done every band from our era. And we were able to go into an environment where we it was exciting because we didn't know what was going to happen. And, you know, it just gave us tons of energy. And I prefer that. You know, it's hard if you're a painter to stand back and look at your own work and critique it. It's very difficult. I mean, we're able to kind of get away with it a little bit, but I prefer to have somebody that I can go, hey, was that okay? You know, what do you think of that? You know, and not have it be me. So I've helped bands, you know, I've produced a couple records. You know, I'm pretty good at fixing other people's music, but when it comes to my own, I get a little confused. But, or, you know, you always want it to be the best it can be. I try to do everything for a song that I can to make it the best it can be, but it's always good to have that objective, that person, you know, that you can bounce off of that's not in the band. And Michael Wagner was great, and he really made me feel at ease. He did our first album and our very first EP, But since he's done like Alice Cooper, Metallica, Ozzy, you know, all these huge records, and I didn't really know, you know, he wasn't the icon he is today back when he did our record. He'd only done Accept and like I think a Dawkins demo or something. But you know, I didn't know if I was going to be intimidated, but he made me feel like so comfortable. It was like, he's such a nice guy that it was really neat. But he comes up with so many great ideas that we wouldn't come up with. That's why it's good to have an outside ears, you know, a pair of ears to say, hey, why don't you try this and why don't you try that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm not really a big fan of producing ourselves.
Well, I got a question for you. It revolves going back out on the road. When you're out on the bus, what town, like what city, do you guys look like most forward to go to?
Believe it or not, one of my favorite places, besides when we were up and coming and got to play the Forum, because that was kind of a dream to play where the Lakers played, in a band situation, because I saw so many shows as a teenager. But I believe it. I know you guys are out in Michigan or something. I think that's what you said. But Detroit has always been such not only produced so many legends, but it seems to have the ultimate rock vibe with the fans, and there's something real special about it. So when we play in Detroit, we usually have a great night, and we've had like #1 songs on the radio. You know, just a lot of good things have happened for us in Detroit. So that's definitely rates real high with me.
Yeah, I didn't know if any of the, like, if you played in any places, maybe in Indianapolis, that you really enjoyed in the Indianapolis area or what. So.
Yeah, well, we played everywhere, you know. Sometimes you don't even know where you're at. I mean, you know, when you're at a bus, it's just like, you know, point which way's the stage is, you know, what you're asking. And then we used to put duct tape with the name of the city just so we know where we were that night. You know, so when the singer, he wouldn't say, because one time we were in Belfast, Ireland, and the singer goes, "Hello, Dublin," by accident, and they're like in war with each other. So it's like ever since that accident happened, our crew would put a big white piece of duct tape and put where we are in front, right in the middle of the stage where the microphone, the singer is.
So that's
so
not
he
like.
Would just
Go ahead. I'm sorry. So that's not like a movie myth or whatever. I mean, that stuff actually
every band
happens.
has their Spinal Tap moment.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's like when you're playing 5 nights a week in arenas, you know, you can get confused after a while where you're at, because, you know, the bus moves and maybe you didn't look at your itinerary or something, and
Sure.
you kind of wake up and you're at the arena and you go take a shower and you go, where are we at today? You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It's, you know, the main thing you're concentrating on is do everything you can so the time on the stage means something, you know, so whatever that, you know, it's been said that they pay us to travel, but we play for free. And a lot of that reason is the traveling is the only thing that's hard. You know, playing the show is the easy part.
I couldn't imagine. There's times I wake up and I don't even know what day it is. I couldn't imagine going city to city. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
What's it?
Every day's like Saturday. Every day's like Saturday with us.
Can you talk a little bit about Mitch Malloy stepping in as the new lead singer?
Yeah, you know, Well, we had a singer in our band for a while. Actually, quite a few years, I think 7 years. And we were kind of growing apart a little bit. Nothing, nothing out of control, or there wasn't any like mega fights or anything, but just kind of, like a marriage going sour type thing. We just weren't excited anymore. And actually, I was on my phone one day. Well, first of all, Mitch Malloy, we had a part on our last album where Michael Wagner called in about, I think, 20 people to do this like gang shout, if you will. And Mitch Malloy was one of the guys that came down. He lives in Nashville. And so I saw him there. I didn't speak with him, but I saw him. Then on the cruise, sometimes on Once Bitten, Twice Shy, we have a bunch of people come up on the stage. Like we've had Y&T, we've had just all kinds of band members and stuff come up on stage and just sing the chorus. And Mitch he did that. So I seen him twice. And then I was on my phone one morning and I saw this Van Halen story where Mitch was in the band secretively for like about 6 weeks.
That's right.
And I go, wow, this is interesting because I not only grew up, I mean, I've seen Van Halen in backyards for $1, like when I was 16 years old. Seen him play junkyards and clubs, and I've never heard of Mitch Malloy in all those years. So I wanted to find out right away what this was all about. And it was about, I think, a 15-minute documentary. And I guess that was the transition after Sammy Hagar left the band. And they accepted Mitch in the band. But then I guess they did some MTV thing and David Lee Roth walked out on stage. And so Mitch kind of got disheartened with all that and ended up not doing it. But I heard a couple tracks he did with them. He did like Panama, and I think he did an original that Eddie gave him. And I go, wow, man, this guy's voice sounds pretty nice. So I listened to some of his solo music, and I was kind of blown away by his voice. So I called my keyboard player, Michael Lardy. And he goes, oh, yeah, I've been looking into that guy. And I go, what? He never even told me anything about this. And supposedly our agent had pitched him to Michael Lardy. So I was like, well, I just fell onto this by accident, but since you guys have been checking him out, I go, why don't we send him some old music, see if he's interested, and some new music, and see what his voice sounds like, with our music. And so we did that. He sent it back. It was flawless. It was killer. So he's pretty much in the band. We've done 15 shows with him. He goes out and totally does an amazing show live. He's totally comfortable engaging the audience, and he's right at home on the stage. He looks great. He sings perfect. So we're thrilled to have him.
Excuse me. I got a couple more quick questions for you. You're a Dodgers fan, correct?
I am.
Okay, that's what I
thought.
Yeah.
Totally.
What's your fondest memory, or I guess, what is your Dodgers moment that lives like in your mind?
Well, when I was 12 years old, that's when I really started paying attention, because I played baseball from 8 until I was 18. So those early years were really cool. With Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax and whatever. I had tons of baseball cards. So that was pretty special to have all those baseball cards, shoe boxes full of them. One moment that kind of stands out, even though it's probably been, overtold, but I was driving home from a rehearsal, and I kind of stopped, and I was in front of this donut place because I was sweating. I believe it was Oakland and the Dodgers in the playoffs, and it was looking hopeless for the first game. And when Kirk Gibson hit that home run, the infamous double pump around second or whatever, I was like, I can't believe we won this game. I go, this is just a flipping miracle. That kind of stands out because I'm listening on the radio, and Vince Scully is really good at explaining what you're missing. Like you get pictures in your head. He's like Chick Hearn was in basketball. He really describes the game well, and he's going, like he almost fell down and he's limping on. He goes, it's one thing to have one bad knee, but when two go bad, it's like, he's talking about like the guy's basically crippled. And, he's up there with 2 strikes, bottom of the 9th, Casey's at bat type vibe. And when he hit that home run, I was just like, I was so dumbfounded. I could not believe that.
So
it's been 30 years. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're still talking about it. And it wasn't even like, it was the first game of the playoffs. It wasn't even like, in the World Series. It wasn't like Game 7 or, that's what I mean. It's probably maybe a little bit over talked about, but it was mind blowing. I mean, I attribute a little bit, at least with me, what made it kind of special was the guy was basically had no legs, and if you ever watched that swing, it looked like he almost stuck his bat out. I mean, it didn't even look like he swung hard. He just hit it perfect on the barrel. And I think it was it was a slider, but it looked like a hard slider. And I just think he just connected kind of perfect, so it was able to drive it out. But by no means was it like a great swing or, kind of like the ball hit his bat or something.
So I got a pretty serious question for you. Some of our listeners, they are poker players. Do you got any poker tips? I know you're an avid poker fan.
Yeah. Poker tips. I don't know. I played live like quite a bit. I used to play on the internet. I've been in huge tournaments. Never finished super high. Got 23rd one time in a real big tournament, like where Phil Hellmuth and all the big names were in it. But the tip, I would say, especially the way the game's played today, really the only way to beat your table when you're gambling is with your chips. You have to be aggressive, and you got to be able to read people and know who the weak players at the table is, because if you haven't figured that out, and you're just waiting for huge hands all the time, you're probably not going to do good. So I would say kind of use your chips aggressively, like, stake your claim at the table, put some fear into some people. And if you get a big hand, bet it. Don't get beat by aces, a million ten. The worst thing you can do is have 3 or 4 players in a hand when you got pocket aces. So before the flop, throw a bet out there. If you get 2 callers, you got a pretty good chance of winning. But don't let people get in the pot cheap. And I would say, don't play limit. I mean, the game, you might as well stay home and flip coins for money or something, because nobody ever folds. It's just who's going to get the lucky draw. just play no limit. Even if you just play cheap no limit, like 1-2 no limit or something. But you have to be able to. If you're just betting 3 and 6 and 3 and 6, you know, at least for me, I don't like it.
Well, I say those tips for our listeners, but deep down is for me. Because I've played poker several times and I never win a hand. So if you're ever in the Indianapolis area and you want to win a quick $100, let me know.
Yeah, I love the game. You know, these kids today, you know, these millionaires that play poker, they're so good and so aggressive. You know, I just think that's really the only way you can dominate poker. You have to play with more aggression. I mean, you got to choose your spots, but you know, I like to charge people to get in a pot. I mean, I don't want to. You know, if there's chips out there, I want to get the chips. You know.
No, I fully agree. I'm just horrible with the strategy.
I've just been playing so long that I kind of, you know, I'm not saying I'm a great player or anything. I just learned the game. I kind of got an okay feel for it. You know, if I sat in a table with like Tom DeWan and Phil Ivey and all those guys, I'd have no chance. But I've like, you know, I've kind of learned. I think I'm a decent player. I'm better at pool though than poker, but
I'm horrible.
I like poker.
Well, all right, Mark. Before we let you go, I know we were talking before the show, and you kind of wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to a kid in the Oakland A's system.
Yeah, very good friends of mine, Terry and Danielle Brooks, have a son that's been in the baseball organization for a while. He's a really great pitcher. And he just got called up from AAA. His name's Aaron Brooks. And he got called up by the Milwaukee Brewers. But you know how it is today, free agency, crazy trades. You miss 2 games and you might not know who 3 players are. He almost immediately went off in some kind of trade deal to the Oakland A's. So he's pitching in the majors. You know, we're kind of thrilled for his family because he just had a baby, and I guess he's really worked on his game. He's really worked hard on his pitching, and he was kind of dominating in AAA. So really getting, you know, low ERA and, you know, getting a lot of attention. So it's really exciting for him and to be on the Oakland A's and everything. So we're just hoping that, you know, he has a long, killer career and he goes out there and kind of brings his practice game, you know, when he's under the heat. That really determines how good, you know, what separates great players from really good players is the great players can play under intense pressure. You know, I mean, how hard do you think it would be? You get called up from the minors, and if you choke, you might, you know, be serving hamburgers somewhere, or you're going to be a multimillionaire and, you know, never have to worry about anything the rest of your life. I mean, I really couldn't imagine that kind of pressure, you know, and it's so cutthroat that if you don't do good, maybe the first or second time out, maybe just the stars don't line up and things just go horribly wrong for you, and that ends your career. I mean, can you imagine? So that's why I'm really hoping that he does really well, you know, under all that intense pressure. So we'll see what happens. I'm praying for him.
That's awesome.
Aaron Brooks.
I'll definitely have to look him up.
All right, man.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you coming on. We'd definitely would love to have you back on whenever you'd like to. I know you're a busy
Sounds
guy.
good. Yeah, I'd be happy to come on. Just get a hold of our publicist, and she'll work it in and work it into your schedule and my schedule, and I'd be happy to do it.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thanks, you guys.
Yes, have
You
a
do a
great
great
night.
show, and thanks for playing our music and stuff.
Hey,
Well,
not a
thank
problem.
All right.
Bye,
All right,
buddy.
bye.
Take care, guys.